Welcome to the Career Jitsu podcast. I am your host, Jason Patterson, along here with our co-host, Frank D'Amelio. We are so excited today to bring you a outstanding podcast from a gentleman who is from the great state of New Jersey. His name is Julio Rodriguez. Julio has a BJJ academy and has other affiliate academies in New Jersey that train under him. He is a former police officer. He has done plenty of law enforcement defensive tactics training, including training U.S. airmen, which he'll get into later. And he is also the head of security in a school district with 9 different schools and has over 3,000 students that he's responsible for their security. So he will dive into the connection with Jiu-Jitsu, which he is well abreast in, but since all of this training that he's done since 1996. So he has a wealth of experience training Jiu-Jitsu and its connection also to his job as head of security for his school district. So welcome aboard, Julio.
Thank you. Great to be with you guys.
Yeah,
All right.
Julio, we are just so excited to have you on the show. And to our listeners, you're really going to love this because what Julio does in his experience is exactly what this channel is made for. That's exactly why we came up with Career Jiu-Jitsu. Not only does he have the psychological connections and the lessons from the mats in his career, he actually needs to use this stuff. And one of the other things that we did not mention yet, but he is also has done professional bodyguarding. So we're gonna get some great stories in here and just dive in and tap into your experience, Julio. We're gonna start off. We're gonna kick it off by asking you what got you originally interested in jujitsu. What was your first experience like, and how has the road and the journey been for you?
I believe we all got into it in 1993 when the Gracie Challenge started. I was already a black belt in USA Goju Karate and Hapkido. So I knew how to stand up and fight. And then I always thought I was pretty tough. You know, during police work in Union City, New Jersey, I was adept with my striking and holding and those issues. I didn't have any problems up to then. Then I went to a Hickson Gracie seminar in Long Island and I rolled with Master Hickson and I was humbled, to say the least. That was 4 days of being a student again and I haven't stopped. I actually was introduced to Master Hoyler and he introduced me to then Professor David Adib, who was a purple belt then. And I started training with Professor David. Well, he wasn't a professor then. He was a purple belt, and I was training him for 2 years. I would drive 48 miles one way to train with him.
Wow.
Once a week, a private, and then 2 classes that he would teach, and back and forth. 48 miles. Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's what you
so,
had to do more of. You had to travel a lot to train Jiu-Jitsu back in those days, right, Julio? Now you
For
can find a
sure.
Jiu-Jitsu school a little closer to you usually.
No, for sure. Now there's schools I think in North Bergen, we have maybe 4 or 5 schools.
yeah,
So
it's
back then it
everywhere.
was like a real, I wanted to learn from a Gracie or a Gracie affiliated school. So what better than the Hickson and Hoyler, and David was their representative in New Jersey. And David was a fantastic teacher. And so that's where I went. And I have nothing but good things to say about
Was
David.
that is that in 1993 that you started, or a little
No,
after that?
96, actually in 96.
96. So you
Right.
started in
Yeah.
1996, and since
That's
then
Right.
about
you've been
30 years.
into jujitsu, and then you became a black belt, opened up your own school, and now have 6 affiliates. That's
Right.
that's
I've continued
that's quite a
training.
journey.
Yeah. I've continued
Now,
training. I haven't stopped.
do you train any of your other things anymore? You said you had a black belt in karate and
Well,
have
yeah, I still train Muay Thai. I'm under Kumran Vaitayanan, Master K. He's 80, I believe he just turned 82, and he makes me look really slow. If you look him up, he's unbelievable. He's in Paterson, New Jersey. He does only privates. He still makes me look very slow and uncoordinated, if I could say that. But I'm under
Do you ever
Master
take him
K.
down? Do you have the mats?
I'm afraid of one of his knees, and his elbows are deadly. You don't want to get hit with it by one of his elbows.
You just don't want to get
He's
close, right? Muay Thai
no,
is a savage art.
he's wild. Master K is a wild. Like Some of Renzo's guys know who Master K is, and they've trained with him. He's unbelievable. And I still train in Filipino martial arts. I have an affiliate school in Jersey City. It's an original Pima Academy with the Supreme Grandmaster was my guru back in '96 when I went to the World Championships with, at the time, was Guru Don Cuesta, but now he's the Supreme Grandmaster of Doce Pares Eskrima.
That's great that you keep up in all of these. Now tell us a little bit about your career, how it developed. Just walk us through. You've done a lot of things: bodyguarding, your NRA, pistol instructor, law enforcement, defense tactics. Can you walk us through just a little chronology of that experience? And as you go through that, can you give some examples of how your jujitsu or your karate or any of your martial arts have actually helped you, and how you've seen maybe these used in real situations?
Right. Well, when I started, I was in high school. I think I was going away to school and I took the police test when I was going away to, I went to University of Wisconsin at La Crosse. So I had taken a police test as a joke. I came back. I got hurt during football practice. I came back my second semester. My father says, "You're not going back out there. You're going to St. Peter's College in Jersey City." I said, "All right, I guess I'll finish school in Jersey." Then I got that little notification. Listen, you did well. You got to take the physical for the police department. I told my father, "No, you're going to finish college." I said, "All right, Dad." My father and mother were divorced. My mother got sick. So I said, "Well, I'm going to have to work. I'll go to school, but I got to work." So I still went through the process of being a police officer. I was number 2 on a list. It took a while before I got hired, but they hired me as a dispatcher. So I was going to school at St. Peter's and then going around the clock at the police station being a dispatcher. And then I was a special police officer. So I was working at the bars on weekends as a special police officer and, like a bouncer, but with a uniform, pretty much. So at that time, it was only karate and my Hapkido. So it was wrist locks, arm locks, stuff like that. And I was okay. I didn't get hurt. I don't have any scars on my face. I'm all right. Which point, and I got hired in like 1984, and I joined the Union City Police Department. Needless to say, I never finished college. I went to started my law enforcement journey. I stopped training, went to the police academy. Even at the police academy, the guys that were instructing weren't as good as me in the police academy. Back then, it was Bergen County Police.
Instructing jujitsu or karate?
No, they were instructing tactics.
Okay, okay,
So
general
yeah, they were
defense tech.
instructing defensive tactics. So what I've learned in Hapkido and USA Karate they were okay, but they couldn't put it together. So with my Hapkido and Karate training, I was okay against the instructors. They said, "Listen, how come you didn't tell?" I said, "You didn't ask." So it was funny because I started training karate when I was 8. So whatever happened, then I
So
went
they
to
thought, they were thinking, we're going to use you as an example of how we can dominate somebody. You try to fight back, and you're like, yeah, okay, I'll fight back.
no, but they didn't do it. I said, "Listen, that's not gonna work that way and using this part of your arm. You need to use this part of your arm, the blade." And they said, "Well, show me." And I said, "Okay." And then he went down and he says, "That works. Where'd you learn that?" I go, "I mastered Duke Lee." And he said, "Where is he?" I go, "In Palisades Park, New Jersey." He goes, "What does he teach?" I go, "Sinmu Hapkido." And he goes, "Okay, all right." He goes, "What belt are you?" I go, "I'm a secondary degree black belt. I'm still training." And they said, "Okay, what would you do in this case?" I was, "This." And they said, "Okay." They taught what they taught, and they said, "How can you make this different?" And I helped them, and then you they were okay, and it was okay, and they were pretty good instructors, but it was lacking. And I still think what they teach, I might get some backlash at this. What they teach, what the police training commission are doing now is an injustice to our police officers because it's garbage what they're teaching our police officers.
We've had quite a few law enforcement officers that have trained at our school, and we've had a few on our podcast too. So, if you or any of our listeners that are listening to this want to check out any of the law enforcement episodes that we've done, there is a great connection there, Julio. I respect so much your background in karate, and how it really helped you in that realm, starting to learn jujitsu. Because I have a black belt in karate. My first martial art was karate.
Awesome.
I have a fourth degree black belt in Okinawan Goju-Ryu.
Great. Awesome. We're brothers.
Yeah. So so when I started jujitsu, it was the same experience for me in the sense that I already knew how the human body worked. So I picked up techniques so quickly and so easily. When
Right.
I was a blue belt, and I was already competing against black belts in tournaments when I was a blue belt, you know?
Wow.
So I
Amazing.
picked it up fast. Of course, the learning curve slowed down a lot, but it was quick, but actually it sped up, whatever you want to call it. But in any case, I love how that connection, you can make that connection, you can learn one thing helps you to learn another, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So how has now can you help our listeners understand the transition for you of your knowledge and skills from jujitsu into law enforcement defensive tactics and you said you've been a pistol instructor. So can you relate a little bit of the jujitsu concepts and principles that you've learned and you've applied in those areas too?
Right. I mean, if I'm going to clinch, I'm not going to clinch. I'll still clinch my pistol side. I'm still going to clinch to my right because that's my pistol side. So I'm going to get an underhook on the right side. Or if I have to clinch the left side because I don't have an option, I'm still going to work around to my strong side. You understand? I'm still going to take him down away from my pistol. He's not going to be able to reach my pistol.
Mhm.
So that's a takedown area that we would go. If I get to a point where he's got access to my pistol, then we got to move. You got to, and we all do those drills. Work around the body. You got to move. If the guy's strong on one side, you got to change positions. Either you go to Kesagatame, north and south, and you got to work the body where you can get him to a point where you could gift wrap him and take care of him. I mean, if we gift wrap him, we're not choking him. And what in New Jersey, you can't choke. In New York, you can't choke either.
Yeah,
What are you going to
Massachusetts.
do if you're a 5'2" young lady, young officer out of the academy with a 5'11", 310-pound guy? I'm gonna tell you, listen, you're gonna choke him, and then we'll worry about the stuff later. We're gonna worry about the lawsuits or the defense attorneys later. Choke him first, and then better to be tried by 12 than carried by 6. Get home safe.
Wow. Wow.
I don't care.
That's a good
You
quote
know,
right
there's too
there.
many body cameras. The body camera, those cases fall off anyway. I'm gonna call I'm gonna call the spade a spade. It's gonna
Yeah.
fall off.
Well, people who train jujitsu understand control too, Julio, you know?
Yeah,
So,
I don't have to
I
put you to
think
sleep to choke you.
even more important reason why what you're saying right there is an even a more important reason why people have to learn, jujitsu in law enforcement, and how to apply it because you can apply it to your career, of course, in the way that it's going to help, you and the person safe too. So, Frank, do you have anything like that you can think of in terms of how this connects to his profession now as a head of security for the school district?
So, I mean, head of security for the school district, I'm a teacher, and I
Oh,
recognize
cool.
just how important that is because the number one thing we talk about at our school is if a child does not feel safe, there's no education. You can't be in a
Absolutely.
classroom. So that position is of vital importance. And I know that you were telling me that the area that you're in is somewhat dangerous. There are some gangs, there's some violence,
All the time. Yeah.
and you and the people that work for you, I'm sure you're teaching them the whole jujitsu philosophy of stay calm so that they can de-escalate because you really don't want to hurt the kids, right? You really
Yeah.
don't want to. So I was kind of curious about how you approach that when you're training your people on security and there's fights or there's violence or things are getting crazy,
Yeah.
not only
They didn't
physically but the mental approach to it and the tips that you've learned from jiu-jitsu and how they apply to that.
well, they didn't use me to train the staff. So they used company called Healing Hands, I believe.
Healing Hands? That's
Healing Hands.
interesting.
It's
Okay.
the guy was pretty good. He was pretty good, but I believe that course was more for children with needs, and if they're
Hmm.
having an issue and eye contact, kids with 504s. So it had some decent techniques, not for jujitsu, but not for the kids that would be in the gangs or violent, or kids that are 6'2" and play football and
Right. Yeah, you're talking about two different worlds. There are kids who, because of their condition, can become dysfunctional, right? That's
absolutely,
one thing. And then there's just pure violence.
yeah.
There's a difference between those two things, and there's a different way to manage that.
Right. So I tell my guys, the guys that took the course, listen, if you want it to hurt a little bit more, separate the wrist from the back, and you could make them move forward, step on their foot, and bring them down. And listen, if it happens, they're fighting. They're the ones that are not complying. Just take them down, write it up. The video is going to see, and I'll make it right on paper. We can make anything right on paper as long as we correct it with the video.
Well, there are so many laws, and I understand them to protect the kids, but I also understand, for example, in a lot of schools, they'll say if two kids are fighting, you need to call the emergency response team. And a lot of
Too
times, the
late.
emergency response team, first of all, is not geographically, the proximity isn't there. And second of all, they've done two classes. And so, and they say you cannot put your hands on a kid, you cannot touch a kid. But I'm going to tell you as a teacher, if I see one kid destroying another kid, I am going to break that up. As
Absolutely.
peacefully as I can. And damn the consequences. I mean, I'm not going to ever put my hands on a kid ever if not
Right.
necessary. But if a kid's getting in a headlock and getting choked and going to go
Right.
unconscious and he's getting his head bashed in, there is no way that I'm not going to do my best to break that
Right.
up without hurting anybody.
Right.
I'm gonna get in there, right?
Either
And
the way I know, do they have the Good Samaritan law in Massachusetts?
that's a good question, Jason. Do you know the
Yeah.
answer to
I
that?
think you have to
I
act.
think so. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how it's enforced, but yeah, I
Right.
mean,
But we have to act. I mean, being working for the school district or a public servant, we have to act. I mean, if we separate them, we've acted. If I pull one kid that's getting pummeled away and another teacher pulls the other kid away, I mean, I guess we did what we're
Right,
supposed to
right,
do.
right. But a lot of the school policies are no, you can't touch the kid. You
Yeah.
can't touch that kid.
Right.
And I definitely understand you should never touch a kid unless one of the kids is in danger of being
Right. Either
slaughtered.
our policy is either they're a danger to themselves, to someone else, or to property. They
Right.
could break the school down. I don't care. Like I'll wait for the police to come. We have two resource officers in the school. Sometimes they're outside doing patrol work, or sometimes they're doing reports. But usually, one guy's always in the school. So we have a police officer inside the school. Our
Yeah,
camera system is great, and it catches everything. They could probably catch what radio, the name of the radio I have on my belt.
that's
It's
great that
good.
you have that. That's great that you
Yeah.
have that. That's just a resource officer is so important in a school. I
Yeah,
think
no, for
it's
sure. And I have maybe in the high school where I'm at most of the time, I might have eight of my students. So I have backup besides the guys at work. So I'm good.
right,
Like, oh, yo,
right.
don't disrespect my teacher. I get that all the time. Oh, you can't talk to my teacher like that. And I'm not the teacher in the school. I'm their teacher at the gym. So I'm good.
Right.
And I have some guys that are really good. Like I got like three kids that are wrestling now. Coach, you're gonna see me wrestle? I said, well, who you got Saturday? I'm gonna go to your wrestling match. I'll be there. So
See, that is so important. The it's required that you have a relationship. And I think BJJ cultivates that quality in people to form and these bonds. And the fact that your kids in that you teach in defense then support you in your job, that's a really nice connection.
no,
You know.
I have great kids. I've had kids. My one daughter and my one son both graduated from the high school. and they both played ball. My son played football, basketball, and baseball, and my daughter played basketball and softball. So they were
Nice.
both athletes. And, I have that. Oh, that's Mike's dad. Well, that's Natalie's dad. He's got the gym. He trains fighters. Like, no, that's the one you don't want to start with. So they know that I don't, I don't play. Listen, you're going to go in, or I'm going to put you in the learning center, which is our in-school suspension, or we're just going to get you right to the VP and you're going to get suspended. You're not going to disrespect the teacher, myself, or any of the guys or the student and don't think there's no consequences. But you're going to get dealt with
Right. And it's so important, that component of respect that you're trying to teach, right? And that's
for
something
sure.
you learn that in martial arts.
I learned that from having a Puerto Rican mother. Are you kidding me?
¿Hablas español? ¿Hablas
Sí,
hacer esto en español? Sí.
sí, cuando tú quieras.
Keep
Jason,
going,
come
Frank.
on.
Keep going, Frank. Keep going. I love it.
Me encanta la lengua español. Y
See,
eso
we
es un
got to go to
placer
Puerto
hablar.
Rico. You want to go train? You go see my friend in Rincon, Puerto Rico, Steve
Let's
Barnett.
do this. Let's put this together.
Yes.
Let's get the
Yeah.
gym to go.
He's got JJ Torres in his school in early February. Is it JJ Torres?
Jason would know. I don't know the names that well. I'm
I
not up
it's
like
it's
that.
on the tip of my tongue.
I refereed so many of his matches in Naga back in the
JT
day.
Torres.
JT Torres. Yeah.
Yes.
Steve
I
Barnett.
was like, I know. I'm like, it sounds
Yeah.
right, but not quite right. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Steve Barnett's got a school, Rincon Jiu-Jitsu, and Rincon. You would love it. They go surfing after. They go to the waterfalls after. He's a great guy. If you need
Surfing.
his information, I'll give you his information.
Yeah, get
He's
Jason
got a
that
good story
information.
too. He's got a
You
school
know,
in Marlboro, New Jersey too.
hey, hook us up with him. We'll get him on the
We're
I
coming.
will
podcast.
definitely.
We're coming for you,
Good
Julio.
place to vacation with the family.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
So Julio, Frank, is it okay if I ask a question here for him?
Of course. Oh yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I've been
No,
hogging
no,
up the
no,
Fabuloso.
questions.
no. That's okay. I just am dying for our listeners to understand a little bit more about how his job works, because you said that you have a resource officer in that is in every school, because you work for 9 different schools, right? So
Right.
I'm
Well,
assuming.
the Board of Ed has 9 schools. The Board of Education has 9 schools.
Okay, so how is it structured for your job? Like, what is your day like? Can you give our listeners an understanding of what your day is like?
Well, I'm usually at the high school. We have security guard, male and female, at all the schools, and there's resource officers at all our schools also. There's some of them are specials, retired officers that work part time as resource officers, and then there are some permanent police officers that are assigned to the schools. So when we have a fire drill, the officers take the police cars and block off the streets. We take the kids out. We make sure it's secure for them to either cross the street. In that case, the police department's good with us with securing and making sure we're safe crossing the street. Evacuations are a little bit more entailed. When we do evacuations, we do have a good active shooter drills. We do that pretty well.
Mhm.
The guys our SWAT team is really good. I can't, I knew the kids when they were growing up. So, they play football with my son. And so Kevin Rodriguez is now the range officer. So he's very good. I don't know if I should have said his name, but he's a great instructor, and they're just good. The chief is a great guy. So, they're doing what's right to secure the school. I don't
Yes,
think
you're well,
the
well.
police training commission is doing great by them, but
Yeah,
that's I have a problem with the state. I don't care.
yeah. So you're well ingrained in the community there. That's awesome. And so, like, what is your typical day like? What, like run us through a day, like a typical day. You wake up in
Well,
the
I get
morning, and
in,
what
I get
happens?
in and see if anybody calls out. Our guys are good. We have like a tiered shift. Some guys staggered shift. 2 or 3 guys get in at 7, some at 7:30, and then a few at 8. So we have like eight eight security guards, and we have 10 periods, and so there'll be like, and now it'll be less because the junior high school. Then it'll be like 10th, 11th, and 12th will be at the high school, and freshmen will be at the junior high school, 7th, 8th, and ninth. So the grammar schools will be till 6th grade. So it's going to alleviate a lot of overpopulated classrooms, and we might go to a 9-period a day, so it'll be a shorter day.
Cool.
Yeah, and
So
So
then
Julio,
all that they get overtime. They'll do all the after school sports, clubs, concerts and stuff. I don't do any overtime. I'm too busy.
so tell us a little
I
bit
go teach
about
classes.
your NRA pistol instructing and
Yeah,
what
we
that entails, and do you use any of the philosophies and techniques of being calm and following your fundamentals? Does any of that apply to pistol
for pistol training, my breathing, you take a deep breath. As you're exhaling, you squeeze the trigger, you don't pull the trigger. But for that aspect of training is more for CCW, for people who getting concealed carry permits. And then I'll do a concealed carry class also. And then I do a concealed carry Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class. You need to protect that weapon if you're going to carry it.
That's interesting. Tell us about that. Because if
Yeah,
you
so
think about it, when you carry a weapon, when you carry a gun, now that gun could be both of your guns, right? You
right.
and
Well,
the
most police officers don't know how to protect their weapon either. One out of every 5 police officers gets shot with their own weapon.
wow,
True
so
fact.
1 in 5.
1 in 5.
explain your jujitsu made for carrying a gun. Explain that
So
program, the philosophy.
first retention in your holster. You get somebody and they go for your weapon. You need to get an underhook and how to get behind them. If you're behind them, they can't. If they reach, there's a Kimura waiting for them, a chicken wing, a takedown at any point. You got them. You could take them down. You get behind them. You could create space and draw down on them. Once they turn towards you and they see a weapon pointed at them, they want to turn and run.
Right.
Once you draw down on somebody, you want to be in a stool position, which is here, and then create distance. You don't want them. You don't want to be extended. And they just grab your weapon. Then there's a bunch of techniques that you need to use to keep it with you. So those are some techniques that we do. Like I don't disarming. You could do. I don't want you to take my gun and I have to disarm you. So you're not disarm. You're not taking my weapon. So
Right.
now I just put the barrel in the crook of my arm and and violently twist. So you're going to rip your hand grabbing the side of my gun. So
Wow,
you hold my gun, I'm going to rip your hand apart.
I never even thought about that whole component. Jason, I'm sure
Yeah.
you have because you've been involved in a lot of the police training. That's,
Yeah, I
how
mean,
to
the law
protect them.
enforcement training, yeah, I mean, the law enforcement training that is offered now, though, in modern times, the last like 5 years, there's been a big movement in getting law enforcement trained in defensive tactics using a lot of the principles of jujitsu, really.
Yeah.
So, and then you also worked as a bodyguard too, right? So you've
Yeah.
applied. It's so what I'm loving about this episode for our listeners, right, is that we're able to take a guy like Julio who has extensive training in martial arts in general, and then specifically utilizing his jujitsu experience as a BJJ black belt to apply his knowledge and experience and skills to so many different avenues, whether it's law enforcement training, pistol instructor, his job at school, because if there's an altercation at school, you're going to need to get there and isolate the situation as quickly as you can, staying calm and composed, and all those things that you learn through jujitsu you can apply to so many different areas. So it's just amazing. Yeah. So for Julio, do you see not just from the physical standpoint? So I know, there's a lot of correlation there with what you can apply physically when there's an altercation in the school or teaching a technique to law enforcement. So from a physical standpoint, you understand control, right? So how about like the mental and emotional side of it? Is there a lot of stuff that you apply through the things that you're doing that you've learned in jujitsu from the mental and emotional standpoint?
For me, I never take anything personal. I mean, if you swing at me, I see it as a training day. Like some people don't know that when I'm like, if someone swings at me, it's just another day. Like, okay, I've been here before. Guy doesn't know he's swinging at the wrong person. Sometimes they get lucky. They might hit me at the top of the head because I didn't shield right or I didn't act fast enough. But once I clinch, it's over or I move out of the way. Then they know I picked the wrong person. But I don't take it personally. It's once you take it personally, the composure's out the window. You can't take it personally. It's at a certain point, anger sets in, and I've always been taught, I think it was Grandmaster Mansour, it's one of Elio Gracie's black belts, who told me, he goes, he who loses control loses. Grandmaster Mansour was the chief for narcotics in Rio de Janeiro back in the day when it was crazy. And he said, you can't lose control. If you lose control, you're going to lose.
So
And I
you are
said,
obviously not a proponent of the I see red philosophy.
absolutely not. Even if you get poked in the eye when you're competing, it's accidental. If it was on purpose. When guys playing dirty and rolling, if he grabs your finger, you hold the choke a little bit longer. But you can't take things personal. Life's too short to be angry.
So just a quick question. In all of your careers and all of your positions, where have you had to actually physically use your jujitsu and your martial arts the most in action?
Probably bodyguard work when I worked for basketball players. Because everybody wants to get next to the basketball players. They either want to get pictures with them or get drinks bought by them or try and get their bottle of Cristal or their bottle of Johnny Walker and pour their drink.
Yeah.
Some people
Do
are
you have
just,
a particular story that stands out to you that's memorable to
I
you?
think there was a club in New York called Veruca. I think there was a couple of Yankee baseball players, and I was with a New Jersey net who's a center. I won't mention his name. The one guy was dancing by the table where they were sitting, and nobody knew that I was his bodyguard. He just looked at me, looked at him, and he was like the I think he was a kid, maybe 22 years old, and he was acting a fool. And I'm looking at the bouncers, and they're not doing anything. And I saw a door right in the back, maybe 6 feet, and I went up, and he didn't know, but the music was on. He turned. I clinched him and took him right by the door, pushed the door, put him there. There was stairs there. And I said, listen, you're going to go down the stairs if you don't cut your shit. And he said, what? Clack. I locked the door. I go, you stand in front of the door. If he comes in again, I'm going to throw him down the stairs. And I go, call whoever you want to call. And I stayed by the door. And then the guy said something. I go, talk to me like that again. And you're the next one going out that door. And the guy was a pretty big guy, but it was like, he saw me move. He didn't even move. I'm like, I go, you guys need to hire some better bouncers.
Yeah,
And
your
Jason just
level of
looked at me like,
Yeah, your level of awareness, Julio, your martial arts experience and doing jujitsu for 30 years, I think you said, right? I
now,
think
yeah,
yeah,
31.
yeah, it's crazy. 30 years of jujitsu is a long time. So your experience in jujitsu has helped you so much in circumstances like that. Like your level of awareness really is on another level because before this podcast, we were talking about setting up the interview. And so our listeners know, I sent Julio a text and said, can you do a Saturday at 1 o'clock? And he said, well, I can, I'll be driving. And I said, so you'll be driving while you're podcasting? And he replied, yes, and doing police work. And I said, so you can do police work, do a podcast and drive at the same time. I'm like, you're like a master of multitasking.
I got
So,
skills.
so,
No,
so
well,
I'm
I
like,
used to,
I'm like thinking to myself, this martial arts has done well for this man.
right. I know, well, I used to drive and do police work. I don't do it anymore. But when you're patrolling, you're doing police work. Back in those days, I didn't even have a cell phone. I think I had a pager.
Oh my gosh.
1983. Yeah, I had a
I haven't
pager.
heard that word in years.
Right. Right.
Pager.
So, yeah,
Damn.
it would be my wife, 911. Oh, she was pregnant. Oh, you have to look for the phone, or We used to have call boxes in town that would connect to the operator, the dispatcher or the operator, fire dispatcher or police dispatcher. Listen, connect me to my house. Don't tell the desk I'm calling. Don't tell the police desk, connect me to my house. I said, what do you mean connect? Plug it into the outgoing line and call 201, the number. They said, why? I go, listen, my wife's pregnant. I don't have I think it was a quarter. I don't have a quarter in my pocket. Come on. I don't want to come all the way. I'm on 2 post, 2 miles away from headquarters. I'm going to leave my post and make a phone call. And they said, all right. And they were like, you can't get a quarter? I said, dude, I'm on patrol. I'm going to get in trouble because you got to call out every time you pull over, like you're going to stop and get a coffee. Car 2, making a seat, pick up a cup of coffee. That's just unprofessional. I didn't want to do it. And then if you stopped and a sergeant, car 2, what are you doing? He would pull over. Why are you stopping? Why are you in there? Did you see something? Then you got to explain yourself to the sergeant. And if it was a sergeant that was a pain, he was writing you up anyway, said, at least you go to a call box, you can't get in trouble. No, I'm calling the headquarters. So you're good.
Got to learn how to play the game, right? Got to
Yeah,
learn how to play the game.
well, yeah, you don't get in trouble if you do it that way. So
Yeah.
I do things the right way, cross your T's, dot your I's, and you can't get in trouble. So you get $1.99. That's your meal. Calling out for a 99. Okay. And they will put you off your meals too. Like car 2, burglary in progress. I just sat down. All right. We gotta go. Keep my meal warm. I'll be back. God forbid if you had an arrest, you never got back to that meal. Then you never paid for that meal. Then you don't go to that restaurant for like 2 weeks. It's crazy.
I'm
But they
sure
knew.
I'm sure people realize when you're a police officer that things like this happen.
Yeah, you got to go back because if it was a good spot, you don't want to you don't want to burn your
Yeah.
spot.
Definitely.
You know,
Don't burn your bridges.
never,
Definitely.
never, never. They usually took care of us. They used to give us a break. But what else you guys got for me?
So, Jason, do you have any final questions before we wrap up?
No, not really. Other than, I mean, we've talked about a lot of the different connections. So I think we can get some takeaways here, Frank. I think our listeners would love to hear all the takeaways that we've gotten from this episode.
Right, right. Well, I've heard from a lot of fans of the channel that they're upset about Happen Time not being on the YouTubes. So now it's takeaway time. All my notes
I
of the
love it,
great
Frank.
things. Yeah, I always take great notes, and there's definitely too much to include in just a short wrap up. So I'm going to pick a few of the things that I've starred. Starting out from the beginning, Jason, you know that I believe almost every single guest we've had on our show has said the word humbled. When they started jiu-jitsu, Julio was saying that he trained with Hickson Gracie and was humbled. And I think that's one of the best things about jiu-jitsu because it really makes you say, wow, this stuff is magic. I can't do anything against this stuff and I want to learn this stuff. And I do believe it's the same thing with any hard thing that you want to learn, whether it's calculus, engineering, poetry, jujitsu. You have to start by being humbled by the greatness of whatever that art is. And that's where you start. So I like the way you started with that. You also talked about something that as a teacher I absolutely love the importance of relationships. I already like when you told me that those kids say, "Hey, that's my teacher. You got to show him respect." That told me volumes about you and the relationships that you establish. So in the end, we talk about jujitsu, you talk about karate, you talk about being your job. In the end, the most important thing is the relationships you make through these things. And so I love that you brought that up. You talked about the importance of respect, and then you brought back again community when you talked about, I think you were talking about the SWAT teams, and that you knew them from when they were on the football team with your son,
When they were
and
kids. When they were kids
and
in
they
the
were
high school.
kids.
Yeah.
And now they're part of and everybody who says, what direction does our society need to go with respect to policing? They always point to there's got to be relationships. I think that is so great that you're doing that. I think it's an inspiration for anybody who's in law enforcement to make those connections and have a sense of community. It helps everybody. Absolutely. I like the way you talked about the breathing that you learned and how it helps you be better when you're controlling a pistol. Absolutely. Just so
For
everybody
sure.
knows, if you want to be a great somebody, breathing sounds so basic, but nothing teaches you breathing better. Maybe yoga does, but jujitsu is so good for your breathing and staying calm in difficult situations. I'm glad that you brought that up. And one of the best things that I heard you say, and I love this. I'm a big fan of Stoic literature, and all the Stoics would be giving Julio a big round of applause. Never take anything personally. Those are words to live by. Because if you could be a person like that, which is not easy, which is something that's cultivated, it's simple but not easy, you're going to have less problems with your boss, less problems with your career, less problems needing to defend yourself if you just don't take things personally. Be a stoic. Calm down yourself. What that person says is their problem, not your problem. I think that's great that you brought
100%.
that up. And the last thing that I like that you said was do things the right way. You can avoid so many problems and headaches in life if you just cross your T's, dot your I's, follow the fundamentals. Jason, our coach, great coach, always tells us fundamentals. Follow the fundamentals, stay on track. Life is easier.
They're
So
the building
you gave
blocks.
absolutely, you gave us a ton of things to think about, great things to take away. We really appreciate you, Julio, and we appreciate what you're doing for kids in security. I especially appreciate that as a teacher. And we hope that you get up to Massachusetts, get some rolls in with us. I want to see,
Whenever.
and I want to see you and Jason karate duel. I want
All
to see
right,
karate
kumite.
duel.
All right.
Yeah. So that will be fun. We could all watch that. Then we could roll and we can go to Boston and have some fun. How does that sound?
That sounds great. I would love
Well,
it.
All
something
right.
tells me that if we start on our feet and we're both karate guys and jujitsu guys, it's gonna be really ugly regardless. So we're gonna both be bleeding
Full
no matter
guard. I
what.
don't know.
That's all right. Yeah,
So
awesome.
we're gonna
Frank, do we have any call to action?
yes, call to action. If our listeners, and we are just so excited at how many people are viewing our podcast, our videos and listening to our podcast. Could you all please do us a favor? Share the ones that you feel pertain to somebody in your circle. Share those. That's the biggest thing you could do to help our channel. Write some comments, drop us some hearts, and if you're interested, there's a form on our Career Jiu-Jitsu site that you could fill out and be on our show and contribute just like Julio did with a lot of wisdom.
Yes, share, share, share. Our
Yes.
listeners are we're gaining more and more listeners. We've been 6 months now, and we have over 1,500 downloads. And we've gone
Awesome.
global, even in interviewing people from different countries too. So it's growing. We're spreading the love of jujitsu. So if you are listening to this, please share. Leo, if you can share it with all the people that you know too,
Oh, for
it
sure.
only helps everybody spread how much jujitsu is important in their life and in their career.
I might have to have Terry Kerrigan do it. He's a Ironman champion who found jujitsu after cycling and doing Ironmans. So, and for training, he's unbelievable. But
Awesome.
he's on
Sounds good.
a plane right now from Colorado.
We will
One of
take
my private students.
we will love any connections you give us. We'll definitely follow up on those. So Julio, thank you so much for taking the time and sharing all of your wisdom. I'm sure you are going to inspire all of our listeners, and we look forward to seeing you here in Massachusetts at some point. And we'd like to tell you and our listeners, have a great weekend.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks,
You
Julio.
got it.
See you guys.
Hey, take care.
Well, there you have it. As we wrap up today's episode, let's take a moment to reflect on the powerful connections we've explored between the art of jiu-jitsu and your career. In your workplace and in jiu-jitsu, you learn to adapt and navigate challenges. So remember that persistence and the courage to embrace the lessons that you learn are the keys to your growth both on the mat and in your career.